Hey there, Uniwarriors! EnnuiGoblin here, once again ready to bring you the latest in Uniwar action. Now, I just want to say real quick before we get started, I've had some players from the chat and the forum express concern with the way I was using the war report in the videos. The issue that people have been having is that when you bring up the war report, it actually lists out who is the winner and the loser of the match before the match is actually completed. So I understand the complaint. It does tend to break up the suspense of the game when you know who's going to win in advance. So what I've done to clear up this issue is I've edited out all the war reports from the videos and instead wrote the information down on a separate note sheet. And I'll be using that as I cast a video to keep track of the credit kill count. So if I do make a mistake, you know why. Let me know. Maybe mention it in the comment section below, but I will do my best to try and keep it as accurate as possible. All right? So, with that said, man, oh man, do I have an exciting match for all of you today. It is going to be none other than Earth versus Talone. This is going to be quite an exciting match to watch. There's going to be some very high-level play today. This map that they're going to be playing on is called Chato Hill. I believe it starts you out with 500 credits and 100 credit per base. So after all these bases have been captured on each side, it's going to be generating an income of 300 credits per turn. So I would expect to see a lot of Marauder play in this game, considering the high level. Not to mention, I mean, or at least for the early rounds of this game, you're going to expect a lot of Marauders coming out, as they're going to be very easily affordable, one Marauder per turn. I would also expect to see a lot of build-up on a match like this, considering that first of all, it's high-level play, so that tends to have a lot of build-up, and the other reason is those 5 mountain tiles in the center are going to have a limitation effect on the amount of immediate mobility on the map, considering, I think if there was maybe 3 tiles of mountains in the map instead of 5, it might be a different ballgame, but I think those 5 tiles make it just isolated enough on each side that it's going to be much more beneficial to build up your units ahead of time before advancing early on. As I mean, it wouldn't be a problem to get 1, 2, maybe even 3 Marauders around those mountains effectively. But when you're trying, but I think it might, when you're trying to move bigger numbers than that at once, you really have to build them up and get them into position ahead of time. And I think that's the kind of race we're going to see here ahead of the game. So without any further ado, playing as the Red Sapiens in the bottom left corner of the map, the number 2 rated player in the world, it's Earth. And playing as the Blue Sapiens in the top left side of the map, the number 1 player rated in the world, Talone. So without further ado, let's get this match started. We are going to see Talone opening with Marauder and pushing his Marines up to get those base captures, and we will see a mirrored opening as well from Earth. Earth getting those base captures, bringing out getting that Marauder. Talone bringing out his Marauder into the center. Another Marauder comes up on the board. 2 more Marauders for Earth coming out. We see that those Marauders getting pushed out into the center. Other Marauder going to go out for early aggression against that first Marauder, getting an uneven exchange in Earth's favor. Marauder now moving back to safety. Another full health Marauder moving up in, taking a 4 bite out of that Marauder, and that Marauder looks like it will go down from the other third Marauder of Earth. Marauder going down, getting a 250 credit advantage to Earth early on in this game, only on round 3. Another Marauder coming on the board for Earth. Talone now moving up his Marauders into position, going to try and strike back and regain his credit count, putting a -2 to -3 exchange on that first Marauder, moving that 8 Marauder back. Full health Marauder now coming in, taking another bite, going to be a 5 bite out of that Marauder, and then only a 1 bite from Talone's Marauder. So that finally that last health Marauder moves in and will take that last Marauder down, and evening up the exchange of credit counts. Another Marauder coming up, and if you just look, I love this diamond bunch-up shape from Talone up here. All of his Marauders are in the same place. They're ready to strike out. Those 2 full health Marauders are up there on the point, protecting the weakened Marauders in the back. So this is at this rate, I think that Earth can take out another one of those Marauders. He's going to give it a shot right here. But even so, I think that formation really works out in Talone's favor. Moving that 7 Marauder back to health, back to safety once again. That full health Marauder going to come and take another 5 bite out of that Marauder, but it will not. Is it going to go down? It does go down this turn, once again bringing another 250 advantage to Earth. That last Marauder going to get a +2 heal on it, and let's see, we're going to see another Marauder come up. Another Marauder coming up on the board. A 5th Marauder coming up on the board for Earth. Talone now moving his Marauders down onto that Marauder that's been exposed. I believe that 4 Marauder is going to go down from Earth, evening up the exchange once again. 9 Marauder going to take it out with a single turn. And that now it's an 8 Marauder moving back into the center, trying to take some refuge behind those mountain tiles. Talone now going through a double heal on that. And if we just take a look at the credit kill count, it's going to be at this turn. I believe the exchange has been even 500 to 500. So we see, believe, is it 4 Marauders yet? It's 4 to 4 Marauders currently. Earth now moving his Marauders into position from the bottom side of the map, leaving his top half exposed, but the units are going to be rather safe on that side. We're now going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6 Marauders on each side. Marines coming out now to try and add extra damage potential for possible base captures. Talone making a threat on that top base by using, if you see, he's got that Marine up in the top right corner, and he's basically making a threat on Earth to bring that Marauder down onto that base. But Earth now making kind of the same mirrored threat on the bottom by bringing a Marine onto that base, capturing that base with a Marauder by sitting on top of it and threatening. So it's a double base capture bluff at this point. We're going to see Earth now trying to push his full health Marauder and take out that exposed Marauder on the left side of the map. That Marauder will go down. Marauders, he's moving up his Marauders toward the top, trying to push back this Marauder capture potential threat. Other Marauder now going to take another 4-bite out of that center Marauder. Is it going to go down? It does go down this turn. So I think that's going to really prevent Talone from making any further threats. He's going to Earth moving up all his Marauders onto that side of the map, catching Talone a little bit off guard, although I think Talone will be able to come back from this fairly easily with a couple of decent placements and unit selections. Seeing that Marauder now coming up, a second Marauder going down this turn. That's actually a fairly large loss right there. That's going to push him up to, I believe, a 500 deficit for Talone in the credit count. Marine now continuing to that base threat. And let's just take a look at the credit kill count. On to round 9 here, we're at 500 to 1250 in favor of Earth. That's a pretty large early game deficit. Talone's going to have to really kind of regroup his units here and start pumping out more Marauders to defend against this advance, particularly with this Marine at the bottom threatening a base capture on that pinned lower base. So Talone now moving his Marauder, trying to fight back, make more strikes against that Marauder line, maybe open it up for a potential base, or at least keep them from moving further on his north flank. Taking another Marauder now, going to take a 3-shot even exchange. The Marine is going to move and take out that Marauder right away. Oh, no, it's not going to take it out. It's only going to be a 3-shot. That Marauder will go down this turn, though. That's going to bring the exchange a little bit closer to equivalent once again. That other top Marauder now moving back toward these center Marauders, trying to push away this Earth and Marine aggression from Earth. Talone moving that Marauder once again, going to try and eliminate that Marauder on pinning his base down. And will it go down? It does go down. That base will be freed up, and that base capture threat is going to be eliminated early game. So Talone bringing back a control into this game. That Marauder now going to take out that Marine, and I believe so. All the base capture threats have been dealt with by both sides. Another Marauder going to come up and take a 3-shot. Marine using that forest cover to take a decent damage out of that center Marauder, bringing it down to a 5 count. And I believe this other Marauder will go down. And I think we have 3 to 4 Marauders. Oh no, 4 to 4 Marauders and 2 Marines for Talone. So Talone is ahead in terms of. Well, no, he's not going to be, because Earth hasn't actually selected his units yet. So I think the units on the board are going to be fairly equivalent. I think it will actually, no, now that Marauder has gone down, Earth is going to pull an advantage in unit composition and amount at this time, although his Marauders have been fairly weakened. Moving that Marine from Talone now to eliminate that Marine in the center. The last Marauder going to take 1 and then 1 health, bringing it up to a 6 and eliminating that Marine from that forest tile. We see Talone bringing his back Marauder up toward the front, trying to push again trying to push away again this advancing line. Marauder is going to go and take care of that 4 Marauder, pushing it back, trying to bring the exchange up. Finally, that 7 Marauder moving up and making a fairly well-placed protective line against that top base. And now that 6 Marauder and 7 Marine from Talone on the mid-section of the map are actually threatening a potential base capture once again to the southern flank. The 6 Marauder going to take a shot at that middle line Marauder, trying to eliminate it. moving that forward Marauder from Earth back to safety in the center of the board. Another full health going to take a 4-shot at that center line Marauder. Is it going to go down this turn? I believe it will. That 8 Marauder going to be able to finish off fairly easily. It does go down, and if let's just take a quick look at the exchange on the credit killed loss. If now that we are at turn 10, I believe that Talone has managed to pull this up 1,500 to 1,800 in Earth's favor. So that's a fairly decent climb back into the match from 5 to 1,250 from just 2 turns ago. So Talone, once again, bringing the gap of deficit back towards equivalency. But Earth just going through a lot of buildup right now. He's got 5 Marauders to Talone's 3 and 1 Marine. So I think Earth is going to have to really sit back here and try to build up these units to keep it an equivalent amount of power on the board. He's going to be able to do just that. All these heals are going to go off, bringing his Marauder army back to almost equivalent to Earth. I think Earth is going to pull ahead by just a single Marauder on this board. And let's just take a look at the unit amount. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Marauders. No, sorry. Is it 5 or 6? It's 6 Marauders for Earth and 6 Marauders for Marine. So I believe it's actually an evens board right now. 1 Marine each, 6 Marauders each. And if you look at Talone's got a great center behind that mountain. It's going to be very difficult. Copter now coming up on the board, and I think we're going to start seeing transition into Copters very soon. Talone, however, opting to stay with a pure Marauder mix, preferring to have more Marauders than less Marauders with a helicopter to support. Seeing a lot of Marauder buildup coming up here. These Marauders kind of jockeying for position, probing for weaknesses, looking through the back line. Copter now coming out for Talone. These Copters, second Copter coming out for Earth. And if you look at this, I know it's been speeded up, so it's a little hard to keep track of. But essentially, these Marauders are pushing forward, taking a look at the vision in the back line, a look at the build order, then pushing back and trying to basically jockey for the best position. It's kind of like it's almost like the Cold War effect, because it's very difficult to strike first and get a successful strike without having the retaliation be too difficult. When you strike from one side to the other, you have to eliminate enough forces with that initial strike that the retaliation isn't going to be enough to have an equivalent credit damage. That helicopter and that Marauder now moving in to get a kill off that first Marauder. We are going to see these units getting pushed forward, but I believe that Earth is going to pull them back once again, trying to just chip away at that army at every opportunity. I think Talone might have brought that Marauder just a little far enough for Earth to get an easy strike at it. We're going to see Talone now moving up and doing the same tactic here on turn. We're now on turn 23, and the credit count is 2,100 to 2,450. So the game, the deficit isn't that hard. It's really maybe just a Marauder and a Marine behind for Talone. So it's still anybody's game at this point. Talone now going to use his Marauder mobility to come and chip away at these Marines. I think it's exactly what he needs to do right now. He needs to be able to eliminate units at whenever Earth is going to pull ahead a little bit, to make sure that that credit difference does not get too significant to the point where Talone's not going to be able to catch up. Earth now once again pulling down heals on those damaged Marauders and just kind of trying to get a good spread. Talone going with preferring to bunch up his Marauders on one side a little bit more rather than spreading them across the map. That another Marauder going down from Earth. Talone leaving a Marauder out there for easy exposure. I believe that Marauder will simply go down very quickly. Now we see Earth bringing in his Marauders towards that line, leaving another Marauder to be killed. But I think because Earth is ahead in the credit counts, losing that Marauder isn't that big a deal, especially since he was able to eliminate another Marauder with that Marauder that will go down now this turn. And let's just take a look at the credit kill count. We are now at 2,700 to 2,950 Earth's favor. So Talone doing a very good job. He's basically climbed up another 100 credits and slowly closing the gap over time. Basically each kind of probing at each other's army, trying to chip away and get as much of an advantage as possible from over the other player. Seeing heals go down on those Marauders from Talone. Talone once again jockeying for center position. Earth now bringing these 5 Copters out on the board for Earth. And let's just take a look at the unit amounts here. We've got 5 Copters and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Marauders for Earth, as opposed to 4 Copters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Marauders, and 3 Marines for Talone on the other side. So it's an interesting difference in composition. I think those Copters are going to have to be careful not to expose themselves, and Earth is going to have to be conservative with them, but he can also be liberal with his Marauders a little bit because of his advantage, although not too excessively so. Those helicopters are going to function as very good finishers for weakened units, though. And more Marauders coming up on the board from from Earth. Talone now pushing his Marauders a little bit, his weakened Marauders to the back, and pushing his whole health Marauders into the center, trying to avoid them getting killed. But these Marauders are going to be able to move center-wise and eliminate yet another Marauder from Talone. Earth putting heals down on his back Marauders, keeping his helicopters out front, using his Marauders to move in, dart out, and then use those helicopters as potential finishers. Keeping his Marauder line mostly to the back where they're not quite as exposed, though. That one Marauder now going to take a 2 health out of that copter. That copter going to be moving back away, trying to make sure that it does not go down. Other copter moving forward and getting rid of that Marauder without any damage. That's going to be a very nice hit for Talone. I'm not sure if that was a good exchange for Earth. I think that gave Talone a chance to catch up. Let's take a look at the count here. Here on turn 29, we are now at 3,200 to 434.50. So Talone now only behind by a single Marauder count in the credit killed. Getting heals off on his weakened Marauders, and this is just fantastic rotation of the weakened Marauders just moving to the back line, the full health Marauders moving up to the front, and just trying to, each player just waiting for the other one to expose units a little bit too with just enough lack of caution to get an advantage in the major exchange that's going to happen. We do see heals go down from Earth. All of his units will be full health once again. And I believe those Marauders now going to move in and take yet another Marauder. But that 8 Marauder, I believe, is going to go down this turn. Talone using his copter to come and take a 4-bite, and I believe a Marine is going to be able to move up and finish that copter, but instead it's going to be a Marauder to come and take down that 4 Marauder, once again eliminating the threat on the top side. Earth probing for weaknesses, not finding enough to feel comfortable pushing all in just yet. That 1 copter bringing it up to a +1 health, and both sides having full health all across the board. See another full health Marauder moving up, taking a 3-bite. That Marauder will move back once again, and we're going to see instead the 8 Marauder now come up and take another bite out of that top Marauder. Now pushing it back, we're seeing a full health now come in and is going to eliminate that Marauder fully from this match. Bam. Now, once again, I just want to take a quick look at this count, and we are at about 3,700 to 3,950. And so Talone and Earth doing a fantastic job of give and take, but the amount of units that are getting killed each turn have been equivalent, and Talone managing to keep this deficit from growing any larger. Marines now moving up towards the back. Another Marine pushing up, threatening a base capture. Is that Marauder going to be able to sit on top of that base? I don't think it would be the best decision, because it would be easy for Talone to push that Marauder off if Earth were to try it. Helicopters now moving up in to finish that Marauder up on the top, moving backwards. And we're just seeing, like I said, when you see these high-level matches, you expect to see a lot of this type of build-up as the players are just kind of going. It's kind of like a pushback and then a push forward. It's a tug of war for position, essentially, at this point in the game. We now see the Marauder moving up. The Marauder line, I like how Earth is really doing a great job of keeping his Marauder line as far back to the right side of the map as possible to avoid having any of Talone's troops feel like moving up into position to get a strike. And I just want to take a quick look now at the amount of units on the board. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copters and 7 Marines for Talone. We also see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 copters and 8 Marauders on the board for Earth, and I believe 3 Marines for each player. So I think Earth has a slight advantage in the amount of units actually present on the board, but it's not such an overwhelming advantage that it's going to make a tremendous amount of difference. I still think that the real winner of this game is going to be whoever gets into that position of a good strike. Whoever gets into that first really well-positioned strike position or tries to strike and fails, I think that's going to be the determinant of this map. So if whichever player gets a good strike or a weak strike is going to suddenly find himself at a major disadvantage once the primary engagement of this match begins. More copters coming up on the board for Earth, just trying to continue to build up and put together a full copter board so that when the engagement does begin, he can push forward with these Marauders, get some initial damage, and then use all those copters in the board to finish off whatever units are weakened by the advancing Marauders. And it looks like those Marines are now pushing forward. This might be indicative of a potential push from Earth to the other side. These copters now starting to, the amount of space between units on each side of the armies starting to get receded as the buildup continues. These Marauders now getting pushed up to the front line. Slowly, Earth is inching his copters toward the center to get ready for a strike. Talone still has he has great positioning in the center, but I think his top position it's good for defensive purposes. But I think if you wanted to push, he would have to do it from the bottom. And it looks, if you just take a look, each player, we've got Earth putting his Marauder line up on the top with the helicopters right behind for a fast strike, and we see the exact same positioning from Talone, but on the bottom side of the map. And I think each player is just waiting for the other one to make maybe a simple positional error, but not really seeing the opportunity that they've been looking for quite yet. And now Talone starting to make an advancement forward with his Marauders up on the top, seeing that, perhaps getting a little bit concerned about the positioning of those Marauders. We do see a helicopter jump forward right immediately and get a 4-bite out of that top Marauder, then moving it, and it looks like this could be an all-in committal from Earth, finishing up that copter right there, and that Marauder right there. And are we going to see an all-in advancement from Earth? I think we are. Other Marauder now moving up and chipping away at that Marine on the forest tile to get rid of that defensive position, pushing that 7 Marauder back. Another 10 Marauder coming up and going to finish away with that Marine. And Earth is going to have to do a significant amount of damage if he wants to all in like this. That copter going to now start advancing on the bottom. You're going to try and dissolve away that line that Talone has been setting up on the bottom flank. Copter's now darting in and back using these mountain tiles as cover, which is going to be very effective on a map like this, considering that the Marauders are not going to be able to move over through those that center area. And these copters now doing considerable damage. Talone losing a lot of these Marauders, and I mean, he can strike back a lot with these copters, but losing all of these Marauders is going to make it very difficult for Talone to get a successful retaliation on the next turn, considering he won't be able to use these Marauders to very much damage effect. And if you look at Earth is being very cautious in the way that he's making this attack, in the sense that a lot of the he's weakened his units during the course of the attack, but they haven't been weakened to the point where they're going to be just complete sitting ducks. It's going to take at least 2 strikes for each of these units to go down, and so it's going to make it difficult for Talone to come back without his Marauders in play. We see Earth's continuing his strike here, and this Marauder now moving up, and only 3 Marauders remaining for Talone on the board. It's going to be difficult. These helicopters from Earth are now going to start trying to chip away at the helicopter count from Talone. The 10 copter going to be able to move up and eliminate another copter from... Is that copter going to go down? No, but it will be weakened down to a 2 health, which is going to make it almost essentially useless. Another Marauder finally going to come up. Is he going to get an elimination? That copter will go down, and now we've got most of Talone's Marauders, and now a copter have been eliminated from the map, and we need to see... What Talone needs to do is be able to increase the potential surface area of attack. And if you take a look here, we see that Earth has done a very good job of kind of reducing the amount of space that Talone can come and do strikes. I think this was a fairly successful first strike, but I am interested to see what Talone's response is going to be to losing all of those Marauders. Is he going to be able to do enough damage on this following turn? I think that's really going to be the major determining factor. And I just want to take a quick look at the kill count here after that exchange, and it looks like Earth after that turn is going to bring the count to 3,700 to 5,900 in Earth's favor. So it looks at Earth bringing it up now to a 2,200 credit advantage. And Talone, if he wants to stay in this map, it all depends on what amount of credit damage is Talone going to be able to do on this turn. Because yes, Earth has a great position now after doing that strike, but you have to consider if Talone can do enough damage this turn, he's got his bases right in that position, although a base capture has gone down from Earth, and that's going to make it very, very difficult. So what I believe Talone is going to have to do is maybe eliminate enough of those top troops, reclaim that base, and start pumping out units. And if he can secure his 3rd base there, he'll be able to pump out reinforcements a lot faster than Earth is going to, and that might just be enough power to swing him back on the game, depending on how much damage can be done from Talone with this following turn. So taking a look, Talone now going to use his copters to try and eliminate this line of Marauders up on the front that are protecting that base capturing Marine. Copter's now doing yet another second strike on going immediately. Oh, and looks like Earth might have accidentally moved the map there. these copters focusing down first on the Marauders and then going to try and I believe Talone's primary objective has to be to resecure that base. If that base does not get resecured this turn, it could be disastrous last turn, as it's going to be of just enough of a credit advantage following that 2200 credit kill deficit. That I don't know if Talone can come back from this game if that base isn't resecured this turn. So we do see most of the Marauders on that top have been eliminated. Another copter going to be able to go down. It looks like Talone is going to have maybe just enough firepower to resecure this base. But this is what I was talking about. Like those Marauders up top, they did get weakened during that first exchange, but they were weakened. They weren't weakened enough to get one-shot kills. So each of those Marauders and these units are going to have to take at least minimum 2 shots from each unit in order to go down. That four Marauder is going to go down, and is Talone going to be able to get this Marine off of that base? I think that 10 Marauder might be just enough to resecure the base. Going to take a 6-shot, and that Marine is going to go down this turn from that copter. Is going to be just enough to resecure the base. And so Talone able to do enough, at least able to resecure his base and pump out reinforcements immediately into this match. And let's just take a look at the exchange on the credit kill count this turn. Talone doing actually a very, very well able job on returning the retaliation, bringing the credit kill down from 37 to 5,500 to 59. So Talone just went from a 2,200 deficit to a 400 deficit. So I think Talone was able to do enough damage to stay in this match significantly. And now Earth is finding himself in a potentially dangerous position because, as you can see, Talone's units have bunched up around these warehouses enough that Talone can easily pump out reinforcements, and it's difficult to get at those units in the back because Talone has significantly reduced the amount of surface area for Earth to come in and do these attacks. So I think Earth is going to have to try and eliminate as many units as possible this turn while kind of refocusing his unit composition, his unit position in this map. I think like having that stretched out line isn't going to work, and he's going to have to try and bunch up his units a little bit more as he tries to get through this next exchange. Copter now going to take a 3-bite out of that central copter and move backwards to safety. Another 9 copter. Is it going to be able to finish that copter off? It does. That copter in the center will go down. It's another 500 credits right there. And then Earth just going to try and eliminate this copter line as much as possible, so that reducing Talone's ability to finish off weakened units next turn, perhaps leaving enough units for Earth next turn to be able to continue to do. If Earth continues to do slightly more credit damage each exchange, then that deficit is going to continue to grow. We've already seen it go from a 250 average deficit to a 400 deficit between the two players. So I think if that deficit can continue to grow through this game as a result of Earth's exchange, Earth is going to be able to take this match just by virtue of having enough unit credits on the board to overwhelm Talone. Another copter going down from Talone. We're going to see this copter move up, and just Earth doing a very good job of just slowly eliminating this copter line from Talone. Talone is going, but like I said, Talone does have those 3 bases, so he can pump out reinforcements a little bit faster, although I'm not sure if that's going to work out this time, because Earth is doing a very fantastic job of pushing up his full health units, then once they get chipped down, pushing them in the back, and just doing such a good job of rotation. And for any of the more inexperienced players watching this game, if you're asking how do Sapiens, how can you keep Sapien units from getting eliminated too quickly, this is how. You have to learn how to rotate your units. Earth just doing such a good job of keeping the healthier units in the front and the weakened units in the back, and that's just elementary play style right there. Gonna see that Marauder is going to weaken that Marine up on the top. Another copter is going to move up into the center and do more damage. Marauder now coming up and trying to finish that last center Marauder right there. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to go down this turn, but it will be weakened down to at least a 2 or 1 health. Yeah, weakened down to a 1 health. Marine now moving up into that board, trying to threaten a potential base capture against Talone's northern base. Talone's turn, and I just want to take a look at the credit kill count after that exchange here on turn 42. We are now at 5,500 to 9,000 kill count in Earth's favor. So Earth, once again, pulling ahead and going from another 2200 or sorry, a 2400 deficit now for Talone. And Talone, I don't know if Talone is going to be able to do enough damage as effectively as he did last turn. I don't know if he's only got 5 copters remaining on the board, and I don't think that's going to be enough units to deal with what Earth has managed to leave on the board from the following turn. Although a lot of Earth's copters have been significantly weakened, and so Talone may be down in numbers of units, but the units he have considerably more health than the units that Earth have. So that might be a potential saving grace for Talone, but Talone is going to have to try and he's going to have to work very hard to maximize his damage, especially reducing this helicopter line so that it's not able to go in and strike away. Finishing off all these weakened up helicopters in the front, but not able to get to those full health copters in the back, and that might be an issue for Talone. Another copter going down from Earth and leaving that 5 and 8 copter exposed, and Talone doing a good job of hitting these copters so that they're not quite as bunched up and separated. You see those 2 copters in the bottom corner and those 3 copters in the center and another 2 cops on the north center. Instead of leaving the copters all bunched up, Talone has managed, and let's just take a look at the credit count in just a moment here. Talone has managed to kind of break up Earth's line so that it can't as effectively strike in central focused positions. And if we just take a look at the credit kill count here on turn 42, we are now at 7550 to 9000. So Talone was able to do a significant amount of damage, but just not significant enough. He was at a 4,000 credit advantage after that exchange on round 42, and he was able to bring it up to he was able to do about 2,000 credits worth of damage, but that's just not going to be enough, especially as Earth continues to pump out more units, because basically, as these this is what I was saying before, as Earth continues to grow the deficit between each exchange, that deficit is going to grow exponentially as more units are left on the board for Earth as versus Talone. And I'm not sure if Talone is going to be able to come back from this game at this rate just by virtue of having not enough units to deal with what's remaining on the board from Earth. Earth now just going to continue to chip away at these weakened copters, and each copter is going to be of critical importance. Every copter that goes down from Talone makes it more difficult for him to be able to come back into this match. Earth now pushing forward with his Marines, eliminating yet another Marauder. That 8 copter now moving in is going to eliminate that 4 copter on the board. Another copter coming down from the board for Talone, remaining only 4 copters. And if we just take a look at the count here, we've got 4 copters, 6 copters for Earth and only 4 copters remaining for Talone. And I think that amount of deficit is going to be just a little too overwhelming for Talone to come back. These copters now going to eliminate yet another copter, and then a Marine coming up, eliminating that copter, that's double veteran status for that Marine. And just these copters just going to come up and just do such a great job of sweeping away everything. And Earth moving up that Marauder, finishing that last Marine, using that Marauder to good damage effect. A 6 Marauder now, and now at this point, Earth can leisurely just move up weakened units and just chip away. Every little point of damage that he does at these remaining copters is going to just be felt by Talone tremendously. Taking his copters from 8 to 6 and from 6 to 3. I mean, like those kind of damage health is like he's only got 3 copters remaining on the board for Talone, and one of those copters is already at a 3 health. And I think that copter is going to be able to eliminate that. Will that last copter go down? No, that 3 copter is going to be brought down to a 1 health, and I think that Marauder will be able to take it down. Now 2 copters only remaining for Talone on the map, and I think that's going to have to be a GG. Not quite sure though. Let's see what Talone is going to do on this next turn blow. I would imagine that the GG is going to be very soon, as the deficit has just grown a little bit too loud. And there is the GG. Talone realizing that he's just not able to keep up with the deficit here. And if we just take a look at this count, the last remaining count was 7,550 to 10,950. So just like I said, especially in these mirrored matches and at such a high level of play, Earth was able to get an early deficit in this game in his advantage against Talone by about 250 credits. And basically, they went through that build-up, and I think Earth realized, I've already got a slight advantage, and if I could do enough unit damage on my initial major exchange from one side to the other. As long as every exchange that I have, I'm ahead in the credit count, then that credit deficit is going to continue to grow, and I can build on that exchange and that advantage. And that's just basic play. When you're ahead, exchange down, because as you exchange down, that difference in unit counts is going to look more and more significant. And I think that's exactly what Earth was able to do. He was just able to chip away at Talone just enough to get that initial advantage, and then he just kept building on top of that advantage to make it grow enough to the point where it became overwhelming. All right, guys, what a great game. Super happy. Thanks very much to Earth for supplying the replay. If you guys, once again, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed it, or the subscribe button if you really, really like this channel. I would appreciate it. It does help me to grow it. Once again, if you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to email me, my email will be listed in the description at the bottom of the screen, as well as a link to the forum post on how to post your own replay videos to me. So I think that's going to be all for now, guys. This is EnnuiGoblin signing off.